Your doctor really did get held up, Reagan. It's never as bad as it seems. And you're much stronger than you think you are. Trust me. So, you want to read Superman? As a baby, Kal-El was sent away in an escape pod away from his collapsing home planet, Krypton. After a long journey through space, the pod crash lands in a small farming town in Kansas, Smallville. John and Martha Kent saw the ball of fire crash into a nearby field and they were shocked to discover a seemingly human child in the wreckage. After a tense conversation, they adopt the child and name him Clark. Growing up, Clark slowly realized that he wasn't like the other kids and had many strange and super abilities. As he grew up, he realized that he could use these powers to help people. Having a great sense of responsibility and always wanting to help, he became Superman. When he was old enough, he moved to Metropolis and became a journalist for the Daily Planet. This is when Clark's superheroism really took off. Fast forward throughout the years, Clark became a member of various superpowered hero teams, became a galactic hero, married the love of his life, and had a baby boy. And last but not least, he became the beacon of hope for the entire DC universe. Superman was created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster all the way back in 1938. First appearing in Action Comics #1, Superman became a juggernaut in the comic book industry. He actually continued being the largest comic book superhero until sometime in the 1980s. Both Siegel and Shuster created Superman after creating many pulp and sci-fi stories prior. Clark Kent's story of alienation and finding belonging is also used to parallel the struggles that the pair experienced being Jewish in the early 1900s. Nowadays, Superman has the main Superman book as well as Action Comics, still going strong. The de facto leader of the Justice League and protector of Earth, Clark Kent is the Man of Steel, Superman. He does this to protect truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. Clark Kent's humanity. Let's get one thing straight. Superman is not boring. I get that popular Twitter threads and some of the recent movies probably back that theory up, but it's wrong. I actually used to have this opinion. I'm not immune to the grift. But as soon as I started doing this deep dive into comics a couple years ago, I figured there must have been some appeal of Superman to make him the icon he is. You know what I did? I read a Superman comic. This man is literally just so cool. He's not some unfeeling alien demigod, he's just a man. Superman may be from another planet, but he was raised with love, care, and respect by two wonderful people who love him dearly. He has all the power in the world. He could easily cripple governments, level cities, and rule with an iron fist. He could get whatever he wanted, but he doesn't. For the man who could have it all, he chooses not to. Because he doesn't view himself as a god or the most powerful being in the universe, he views himself as Clark Kent, a man from Smallville. The reason why Superman isn't boring is because he constantly needs to make these hard decisions. He will always risk life and limb in order to get the best outcome and save as many lives as possible. Not only is Superman a cool character, but he's an icon of hope and optimism. He's inspirational. Evil Superman. Alright, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The concept of evil Superman is cool, I'll admit that. When I was 16 and Injustice was coming out, I thought it was rad. After all, seeing the normal people go up against a seemingly all-powerful being is a pretty sweet concept. While I do like Injustice for what it is, I much prefer the standard hopeful man that Superman is. But it wouldn't be a comprehensive Superman video if I didn't talk about some of the most successful and not so successful iterations of the evil Superman trope. Yep, this is the big one. The Injustice comics were released to help promote the NetherRealm fighting game of the same name. Basically, the Joker tricks Superman into thinking his pregnant wife is Doomsday, so Superman kills Doomsday, not thinking it's his wife. He finds out that he kills his wife and unborn child, so he kills Joker in retaliation, and this sends Supes down a dark path, which leads to him basically taking over the world before a group of rebels, led by Batman, group up to take him down. Oh, also, Joker nuked Metropolis. Alright, I'm gonna get murdered for this one. Snyder's alleged plans for his DC universe was to have this nightmare future become reality where Darkseid kills Lois so Superman becomes evil and the remainder of the JL need to stop him. I get that he has fans, but examples like this just don't feel like Superman to me.
No one stays good in this world.
Hey no, we're getting to the good stuff. The Boys comic is dog water, full transparency. I'm not talking about that. The Boys, the show, is actually really good. We have an evil Superman stand-in with Homelander, but he has so many issues because of how he was raised. Sure, he's not strong as the actual Superman, but it's been a really interesting ride to watch Homelander go more and more off the rails. If you want evil Superman done well, check this out. Now, let's finally get to where you should look if you want to read Superman. Where to start? Superman Smashes the Klan. This very well might be my favorite starting point for Superman. It features a lot of Golden Age tendencies in the early days of Clark's career as Superman. This book perfectly captures the parallels between Clark's alien heritage and accepting himself versus the plight of the Lees and their experiences with racism after they moved to Metropolis. Smashes the Clan truly just gets Superman. He's a hero when he needs to be, and he's a friend always. While the obvious clan smashing is fun to watch, I personally love when Clark gives Lan Shin his cape and her mother adds the S into her jacket. It's such a lovely display of how Superman inspires people, all while promoting a sense of belonging in a rather tumultuous time in world history. Dan Jurgens' Superman. Dan Jurgens has written a lot of Superman. Most of it is actually pretty great. Famously, he wrote The Death of Superman, which was a huge event for DC and it rippled throughout the entire universe. I generally prefer the shorter, more contained stories for Superman, but Jurgens breathes a lot of life into him and wasn't afraid to shake things up. Because of how spread out a lot of Superman comics are, I'd recommend getting some of the collected editions if you want to read some 90s Superman action. Superman Red and Blue. Red and Blue is a collection of short stories written by various writers and artists. Every single one of these stories gives you something new. We have anything from Superman consoling someone whose mom recently passed away, to him reminiscing about the lessons and love he was showered with by his parents. While not all of these stories are great, I do think most of them can give a new reader a great understanding of the character in a very condensed and stylized way. Many of these stories actually had me tearing up as I was reading through. Superman for All Seasons. Another classic by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, For All Seasons is an origin story for Superman that establishes the beginning of his journey, as well as the will they won't they of Clark and Lana Lang. I also really love the characterizations of Ma and Pa Kent here. They're so lovable, and you can tell why Clark is just the way he is. Not much else for me to say here, it's just a phenomenal jumping on point for new Superman readers. Superman Shazam First Thunder. Definitely one of the quicker reads on this list, First Thunder showcases Dr. Sivana trying to ruin Billy Batson's life. We see Billy's life get thrown into turmoil and struggle with the responsibility that the wizard placed on such a young boy. More importantly, this shows the beginning of Superman and Shazam's friendship and how Clark becomes a mentor to Billy. Like a lot of stories that I'm talking about in this video, this book shows a ton of heart. Superman Man of Tomorrow. Before I read comics, I watched cartoons. As a young boy, I was enamored with the heroics of the Justice League found in the original Justice League cartoon and Justice League Unlimited. Imagine my surprise when I found a cool animated Superman movie that perfectly captures what a Superman origin story is supposed to be. You see him try to use violence not as an answer, but as a last resort. This is Superman Man of Tomorrow. Not only does it feature a modern retelling of Clark's origin, but it also builds out the DC animated universe with characters such as Lobo, Martian Manhunter, and even a couple nods to Batman. This is a quick 90-minute adventure that is a great way to get to the core of Superman. Recommended reading: Batman Superman World's Finest. Mark Waid is one of the best comic book writers currently out there. Dan Mora is actually my favorite artist that's currently working. These two champions of the industry team up to make a more modern take on the Golden Age adventures of World's Finest, Superman, and Batman. This is still ongoing as of writing, but we see some incredibly cool concepts come up during this run. Mark Waid also has some very cool callbacks to one of his most other famous stories. No spoilers though, just go check this one out. All-Star Superman. Probably the most popular story mentioned in this video, All-Star Superman is a classic written by Grant Morrison and drawn by Frank Quitely. This Elseworlds book starts with Superman realizing that he is slowly dying thanks to radiation poisoning after flying too close to the sun. That being said, his powers are greater than ever before as we experience the greatest hits of Superman stories. We see him take on incredible and otherworldly foes such as Solaris and Samson, to his lifelong enemy Lex Luthor. Some of my favorite Superman moments ever are from this book, and this is truly one of those stories that transcends the medium of comics. While I want to avoid spoiling the ending directly to those who haven't read All-Star Superman, this line gives me chills every single time.
If it wasn't for you, I could have saved the world.
If it had mattered to you, Luthor, you could have saved the world years ago.
You're right.
Kingdom Come. This is not a very happy-go-lucky Superman story. As a matter of fact, Mark Waid wrote Kingdom Come as a supposed finale to the DC universe. But hey, if you ever wanted to see where this iconic Justice League image comes from, it's this book. This story is more of a large-scale DC story with themes about passing the mantle and what it truly means to be a hero. Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman are DC's trinity, so all three of them play crucial parts in this story. In this book, Clark is retired as new brutal heroes take over the zeitgeist. As the story crescendos, we see Superman return to form and become an icon of hope for all ages. This may be an Elseworld story, but it's a must-read. Superman Up in the Sky. Alright, time to talk about the modern classic that everybody and their mother seems to love. Written by Tom King and drawn by Andy Kubert, Up in the Sky is the story that understands Superman's responsibility and shows us just how far he can go to save just one life, one little girl. During the course of this story, we see how Earth handles being without Superman. We also see Clark sick with worry as his paranoia of Lois getting hurt makes him consider turning back multiple times. The incredible art by Andy Kubert and heartfelt writing by Tom King makes this a modern classic. I can't wait to see just how well this story ages. Thanks for watching the newest episode of So You Wanna Read. It's been a little bit since I've made a new episode in this series, so I figured it was about time that I did a video about The Boy in Blue. Next up, we have an episode on Batman. I'll also be working on a new series called Best Comics Ever, where I can gush about some great mini-series, standalones, or even just some cool runs. Alright everyone, I've been Jared, you've been wonderful, and I'll see you next time.